Hey guys, Roland here with Myriad Services, and welcome to our very first podcast. Today I have Graeme Lodge joining us. He is the Managing Director of Myriad Services, and today we're going to cover a few topics. So topics around working from home post-pandemic, and what your IT security looks like working from home. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Well, welcome Graeme to our very first podcast. I thought I'll start up with introduction of who you are, and then we'll just jump right into the topics.
Cool. Thanks, Roland. So I'm the Managing Director at Myriad Services. So been playing in the IT game now, coming on 20 plus years, involved with Myriad directly for 3 odd years, involved with a lot of engineering, mining, maintenance, a whole host of clients along different areas. And yeah, just really passionate about seeing how we use technology in the real world and just having those sort of conversations.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess the reason for this podcast is just to talk around the whole post-pandemic. There is a few topics that we do want to cover, but I guess we just want to dive straight into what the world looks like right now. Obviously, post-pandemic, it seems that all the businesses have really adapted the whole idea of working from home, working remotely, but there's a few changes that has happened. So I thought I'll just start up with what the life looks like right now for everyone. Yep. I know it's very different for me, and I'm sure it's very much different from you from management point of view or from a parent's point of view. So
yeah, definitely. There's a few different things there to sort of consider in that space. So obviously, pandemic happened. Everyone went home. Everyone was working from home, and that's what life was. Today, there's still a lot of people at home. So I'm in a regional centre, so I'm in North Queensland there. So yep. I notice there's a different experience between people I work with up that way and clients I work with in the regional areas versus the ones in the city. Obviously, there's been more lockdowns and things, and if you probably go down south, Sydney, Melbourne, you're probably going to get a slightly different story again. So what I've sort of seen is there's really 2 or 3 trains of thought. One is, it's over, let's go back to the office. Yeah. Let's be back, let's go back to normal. Yeah. Then there's those who are saying, no, I'm pretty comfortable here. I'm not going anywhere.
Well, kind of like me, to be honest.
You're definitely one of those. I'll give you that one.
Yeah, I get clients all the time. It's a mixed bag. I'll say it's 50-50. The conversation I generally have with them is, well, what's your thoughts? Do you find it more comfortable working from home, or do you prefer to work from the office? And surprisingly, a few love to work from home. Work from the office. Like the interaction with others seems to be the key thing for them. But then for myself, I guess because I'm more of a sales kind of approach, I don't really necessarily need to be in the office. So and it's kind of like that. That's pretty much the stories that I'm hearing, is that some really love it and some don't, and some find it to be more productive. So I'm finding to be more productive working from home. What about yourself?
No, I'm probably one of those ones that sits in the middle. So I think there's a lot of that. I was chatting to some people the other night, and it was a fairly mixed bag across the table. The majority, and this was up in North Queensland, so we don't have the issues of commuting and all those sort of things that come into play. But there was a general sense of, no, I want to get out of the house. I want to be back in the office. One of the guys I was talking to, his wife was still working from home. And I was like, no, let me get some space. I want to get back to the office.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But then when you drilled into it, and I'll use myself as an example first, I'm probably dead set 50-50. Yeah. Probably leaning more towards in the office now, again, for that interaction, wanting to interact. Yeah. But what I found with the remote side of it was productivity is one, so less commuting time. I used to do a lot of after hours meetings, so be able to tie that into stuff. But it was more around just having that option to either be in the office or at home and have that flexible time. But it was about the booking of the time. So one thing I really found that was really positive that I've seen stay in the business community bit is people are organising time. Yeah. Because to book a Teams meeting or something like that, you've got to book the time. You can't just,
exactly.
Hey, dial into a video conference. Hey, you've got 5 minutes.
Exactly. Right.
It was a case of, hey, let's have a look at your calendar. Yep, there's got a half-hour slot then. Let's jump it in. Yep. I know with people, and I was definitely one of these, people started booking their own lunch breaks because people were filling every gap you had in your calendar.
To be honest, It was one client that you and I actually joined in. I gave him a call and I said, hey, what's your calendar looking like? And he said, I'm flat out busy. How about 12 o'clock? Now, if it was a standard traditional, face to face, it would have been hard because it's like, well, it's half an hour to 12. So it was actually easy for me to say, yeah, how about over Teams? He said, yeah, that sounds great. So it was actually quite good, Yeah. One thing you definitely touched on is flexibility. And I must say, flexibility is definitely key for me as well. In the past, obviously I'll come to office, have to go through the whole, the traffic and all that. Now I can actually take the meeting, and bypass the traffic, have the meeting, and then make my way to the office. And I just find that to be more flexible. And my brain, I guess, is more fresh and ready to go because of that. So I actually found that myself to be quite, I don't know, really good. I like it.
Yeah, and I have to agree. Like I said, I've been getting back to the office more and more, but particularly afternoons, we've got clients with who are overseas in different time zones and things like that. So I'll often take meetings at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. Those ones I'll definitely head home at before. Say I've got a 3 or 4 o'clock meeting, I'll deliberately go home at after lunch.
Yeah.
Take that meeting on Teams at home.
Yeah.
I've already done my commute. I'm already home. Spend a couple of hours with the family.
Yeah.
And then jump on those late night calls. So it's about that flexibility of not just, being able to work from home, not work from home, but able to work your work life around your personal life and find some balance.
Yeah.
And that's something I found really powerful is, so even at the height of the pandemic, and it's something I probably don't do as much now, but, booking in some of that personal time. So when there was a lot going on, all your time was booked out.
Yeah.
Book out an hour during the daytime to go for a bike ride with my daughter or something a bit different.
Yeah.
And then knowing that I was going to make up for that time later in the day. And I wasn't burning time commuting and travelling.
Yeah.
And for me, travelling to work or the office wasn't such a big deal. But travelling to Brisbane, I used to do a lot of travel. I couldn't tell you how many days I burned on the road.
Yeah.
Still like to do that, but I don't need to do it anywhere near as much.
That is fair. Yeah. So, to be honest, I'm finding the same today. I'm taking back at least 2 hours easily a day. I'm finding myself anyway. I'll get up around 5:30, hit the gym, and able to just jump straight into my workload. Clear. Well, to be honest, it does help that you have I have a home gym, so it's easier for me to walk to the to my garage. But what I'm finding is that I'm able to just get up, do what I need to do, and then go straight to my desk and just nut out what I need to do for that day. And if I need to go into the office, I can, and I have that flexibility. So in terms of technology-wise, obviously there's been a lot of uptake in the Microsoft arena, especially around the Teams. Did you want to touch on that?
Yeah, so I think Teams have become integral to allowing that balance of that working from home and working in the office. It actually really open up to technology. I mean, there's obviously Teams. We've all used Teams on our laptops and computers and those sort of things working from home. But where I think it's going to be really noticed moving forward is this how it works in the hybrid environment where you get some people at home and some people in the office. Yeah. Because that's where it changes. So, and that's where the technology really shows. So there's Zoom and there's all these other products out there. And great. I used a lot of Zoom meetings during the pandemic, so I'd still do. Certain vendors are really heavily using it. Yeah, it's all great. But what I really found with the Teams is that the broad suite of products that are now compatible with it. Teams Rooms is a really interesting concept.
It's a really good one, that one.
Yeah, so you start bringing in those environments. You go into a meeting room in your office. You can now bring in a person working from home, a person working on the road, someone who's sitting in an airport lounge waiting for a flight. You can bring them in the same experience as a corporate group of people. So whereas previously you maybe either had everyone in the same room or you had to send everyone to their desks so they all got the same experience, you can now have a bunch of people in the room on a Teams Room call. So you have a Teams Room device so it's not your personal device, it's a device configured for the room. All the audio, the camera, all that's there. You can actually then present off your own machine as if you were sitting at your own desk. So it's really created a hybrid environment where then you can have remote users who have the exact same experience as the guys sitting in the office. And that's a unique bit of technology that I think is probably going to really start to see some ground pick up in the post-pandemic is, let's face it, I think what the work from home scenario taught people is it's actually okay.
Yeah.
You can do it. As you said, some circumstances better, like yourself, you actually had a better life experience.
Yeah.
Some businesses, it may not work.
Yep.
I'll give an example where it didn't work for us. So, not that it didn't work, where it was actually better to bring the people back. So our service desk is a prime example of that.
Yeah.
We went home and we worked from home. We had no problems. We worked from home before there were any formal work from home orders.
Yeah.
But what we found, as soon as we were allowed to bring them back in the office, we did.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things in that environment where you're leaning on other people, and that interaction. There's an interaction. There's so much you can do with the technology. There's some things you can't. I think it's important to recognise that you can't do everything.
That's right.
So the ability to have, overhear conversations. So
that's true.
You've got someone talking to a client on the phone, and you hear them go, "Hang on, that's not quite right," or maybe there's a pattern. Maybe there's half a dozen things going on.
Yeah.
You hear the same thing, 4 or 5 times. You can actually pull that up fairly quickly and interact.
Yeah.
So there's no fix for that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I guess that was quite important for the the service team to. I guess in this case, it's actually quite important for Ben to be able to overhear what's actually happening within his team. Obviously, before they were brought back into the office, one of the advantage, I guess, that I've noticed that they've taken advantage of is the chat feature as well. Is it true that I think you guys set up a chat, Teams chat, so everyone can actually just ask questions around what's happening with this client, or how do you solve this particular issue and all that, and everyone's able to interact?
Yeah. No, look, the Teams chats. It's completely changed the way things work. Particularly, so we're obviously a multi-site office, so we've got presence in Mackay, Brisbane, Brisbane and Canberra. Yeah. So our main office here in Brisbane, we've got a team of people up in Mackay.
That's right. Yeah.
There was, and the team in Brisbane was bigger than the team in Mackay. So there was a real, let's be honest, us and them going on between the two.
I was about to say, it was a bit of a disconnect.
Yeah, and they used to get together, and that was fine. We come together for the annual Christmas parties and those sort of things. You would have phone hookups, and that'd be all really great. Yeah. What happened is when everyone went to work from home, it was an equalizer. Suddenly, everyone was on the same platform. But then, as you're saying, we started using the chat, and that's so get around that crosstalk, that conversation where you can't overhear what people are saying. Yeah. That chat really come to its fore. So those sort of junior staff were like, I can't turn over my shoulder and ask someone what's going on. How do I do that? And we had those we had a chat room set up for that group of people. There were different rooms set up. So one just for those guys. So the people who'd normally be sitting in the same room were in their own chat. Yes. So that created that room chat. So hey, what's going on? So that went from what's going on with this client to has anyone else seen this to this, but it also had a fairly big social aspect. So that same banter you'd have around the office of having a joke with the guy around the recorder, that crept in there as well. And what we've found now that everyone's back in the office, the guys in Mackay are back in the office, the guys in Brisbane are back in the office. Yeah, that sort of banter and chat has stayed.
Yes, I noticed that because I think Ben actually...
My phone beeps every 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly it. Yeah, because Ben added me to that because he wanted me to be part of the team and see what's actually happening. And I can actually see a lot of the banter. But what I also see is Ethan. He definitely stood out for me. He's always, I guess, promoting that vibe of like a team atmosphere, like, hey, happy Friday or happy Monday, or hope you guys are smashing it up today. Yeah. With a lot of caffeine, I guess. But I saw that and I thought, this is great. This is actually good, culture within the actual team itself. And the fact that everyone's all back in the office, but yet everyone's still continuing that, the culture of conversation within the actual chat, which is good. I like it.
Yeah, and it goes beyond the office. So those working from home. So as I said, I work from home regularly. Some of the other guys who are senior engineers and that when they're working on a project, sometimes it's easier to, a lot of those projects, let's face it, we're in IT. You can't shut down stuff in the middle of the day, so we do after hours work. So to do that, we allow our senior engineers to work from home so they can have that flexi time and work back late. Yeah. But they can still be part of that conversation. If there's a question asked that's a bit complex, they'll jump on there and ask those questions. And that's the main MSP chat we got up, but we got different chat rooms set up for different things. Yeah. I've got chat. I'm involved in a chat with a couple of clients.
Yeah.
So there's information that comes through those.
Yes. Yeah.
So the good thing about chat is, for me, it fits very nicely between a phone call or a Teams call and an email.
Yeah.
So if you send an email, there's no expectation of an immediate response.
Yes, that's right.
And you may never get a response, especially if you email me.
Yeah.
But if you ring someone, there's like an obligation to answer the phone.
Yes.
I feel like I've got to answer that.
Yeah.
Whereas the Teams chat or any sort of chat platform is that in between, it's important enough that you can respond to it.
Yeah.
You can respond to it while you're doing other things. It's very easy to be on it. And I do it all the time on Teams calls with yourself.
It's good.
Typing away, getting little messages in the background, multitasking, sharing that information.
Yeah. It's just, I guess it's a good way, like for me anyway, the way I use it is it's a quick way of saying, hey, quick question, what's happening with us? Rather than having to type a lengthy email, and I know there's some guys, and I know you for a fact, I've seen your email inbox is massive. So by the time you get to it, it's too late. Whereas I can, on Teams, obviously I could say, oh, Graham's available. I might just flick him a quick email, quick chat. Hey, Graham, what's happening with this? And you can easily respond to it. And the thing is, it's actually live. I can see you actually, responding.
So the key point there you're bringing up with the technology is the same platform. So that, I think, is the big thing about Teams, particularly over some of these other platforms that are out there. So you're already in a Teams meeting, for example, which 9% of the time I am, and the chats are coming through in the exact same window that I'm in this call on. So it's actually very easy to interact with without breaking my train of thought and without changing apps, because there's something in your head when you change apps. So going into your email, going out of your email, it's like, oh, sorry, I switched off. What's happening? Yeah. Whereas if you're in the Teams meeting, you can actually, you're not leaving the product.
No, it's right there. That actually got me thinking. One of the, I guess I use it quite often, having a chat with yourself, and we're talking about, say, a particular client, and then we need to get Ben on board. Like we need his input. It's actually easy for us to just dial Ben in, flick him a quick chat and say, hey, are you free for a quick chat? And he'll respond quickly, and then we could just dial him in straight into the team. So we're not actually having to leave the platform. We can actually continue that conversation.
And more recently, with the recent business voice packages and things have been released, you can now actually go a step further and dial in an external party.
Yeah.
So now you've got your collaboration platform. So
yes.
Let's go back to the basics. It's built on SharePoint, so therefore you've got file storage and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
You've got your video conferencing, which is what most people are using it from. That advent from Skype. So it's Teams is the new Skype. Then you're doing your collaboration, your chat, and all those sort of things around it. And now you're going to bring in your PABX system. So now you've combined all these systems. So you've kind of, not really, but you could kind of replaced email with your chat, your video conference, your file storage with the SharePoint, and now your phone system in one application.
Yep.
Which means if you're on your mobile phone, you can run the app. You've got access to all your files, you've got access to your data, you've got access to your contacts. Yeah. You can ring people, you can chat to people, you can have video conferences with people. I mean, I often will take Teams calls in the car on the way home.
Well, you do that all the time with me, so especially in our sales meeting on Mondays. So I guess, just to wrap that particular topic up, I guess team has really emphasized the whole you can work from anywhere, really, isn't it? Like you said, everything's all connected under the one platform. So all your documentation through SharePoint, your emails through Office 365, and then obviously your communication tools, which is the Teams, and the fact that with the Teams business voice. Now, obviously that's another topic which we will dive into a little bit later, just not here. But that's exciting. That's some really exciting stuff coming along, and I think a lot of small to medium businesses are really going to take advantage of that. So I guess the final question around it is, how has it affected you in your everyday, activity? So all in all, would you say it's improved it? It made it better, or feel the same, or how would you say?
Look, what would you say? I think there's a definite improvement. If you want to be specific about it, what it's done is it's made technology okay. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. But
well, I guess, I kind of agree with that. It made it easier for me to, for me, from a, I guess, client interaction point of view, back in the days, I guess I'll be saying, hey, you know, how are you for next week? I'll come and see you. Now it's more of a, how are you for this afternoon? We can do it over Teams. And it's not, they don't really object it anymore because it's a norm. Yeah, it's kind of like, that client that I was saying to you, he even suggested it. Can we just do it over Teams?
Well, you don't have to think about where you are, what's going on. So you, for example, you're on the road a lot, or used to be on the road a lot. There's no, oh, hang on the other side of town. It's going to take me an hour to get there. Exactly. Can I fit it in? It's like, oh, I've got nothing on my calendar at 2:00. So yes, you can join me.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter where you are. You can be in your car, as I have been. Maybe not for some of those calls, but you can literally just find a spot, throw on your fancy background, and no one needs to know any different. So.
There is a quick tip on that. But yeah, look, for me, I think it definitely improved my, I guess, my work life overall. Productivity is definitely a lot better for me because, again, I think you touched on it. It's no longer I'm in Mackay or I'm in Brisbane. It's I'm wherever you want me to be on Teams. So, and most times, you know, the interaction with my clients that I'm seeing is that they're actually happy to do it on Teams. And I think this whole pandemic situation, although it's really bad, has really opened a lot of people's, you know, like businesses as well as everybody's eyes to, hey, you know what? We could actually continue this as a normal thing.
Yeah, so just as a final point, I've found businesses I've spoken to that it's not a replacement. So let's just be clear. We're not saying, hey, since the pandemic, everyone's going to work from home.
Absolutely.
But what it has done is it's shown a lot of bosses and managers and people like myself that, you know what, it's actually okay. Oh, I can trust my staff.
Yeah.
And on the flip side of that, there are some roles it doesn't work great for.
Yes, of course.
So, what's been good is, for me, this whole pandemic scenario has been a forced learning curve. So it's been an opportunity for technology to be showcased.
Yes.
It's been an opportunity for businesses to try the work from home scenario. I mean, let's face it. It's been, and I did a read on this with Microsoft, there's a whole, like, so many businesses, ridiculous number of businesses, don't have the stats on me, had a plan to do work from home or a combined environment. None of them were doing it. Well, very few of them were doing it. They had plans to do it, but they were never going to do it.
Isn't there a meme going around, like, what was your key reason why you moved your technology forward? It's not your CIO or it's not your managing director. It's been
100%. And
it's just boosted, you know, and
yeah, no, talking to a lot of people, and that's what it is. And they've found it okay. Yeah. And like I said, some had intentions of doing it and being flexible, but where do I start?
Yes.
You start by sending everyone home and make it happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
How it started. So, and like I said, I really do think it's been really good for the uptake of technology.
Yes.
It's exposed technology to a whole wider range. So that, you know, there are people, so there's the manager side of it of, I can trust my people, but there's also the user experience side of, hey, this stuff's not so scary. I'm actually quite comfortable.
Yes, that's
using Teams. And
I agree with that. I agree with that. Yeah, because there are some clients. You know, originally when I spoke to them, the whole concept of working remotely or having to take their business to the cloud platform, as an example. Be careful, it's expensive now. It was quite daunting, right? But then I guess this whole COVID situation really has forced their hands, and then when you go back to them and implement all these solutions, you know, the feedback that I'm getting is it's not as bad as I thought it would be. You know, like their team adapted really quickly. Look, we could probably talk about this continuously, but we do have a time frame to go through. So the next one that I actually want to touch on is obviously security. I think it's a big topic for a lot of businesses. Doesn't matter what size you are, small, medium, doesn't matter, right? Security is a big issue. So what sort of what is the one thing that you've seen, I guess, for people working remotely, you know, in terms of security wise?
I'll start from a manager's perspective. So there was a lot of fear in people going to work from home. Like, businesses secure their data in the offices. They have various file structures. They have security layers. They have physical security. They have files lost in file account, all this sort of stuff. Yeah. So that was the first aspect from how does a business secure their data? So that when people go from home, I suppose people used to print stuff out and run home with important documents, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. With using things like Teams and there's a whole host of other platforms out there, or even just SharePoint straight out, which obviously the precursor to Teams and is still very prominent in the market, is that allows them that there's layers of security in there. So let's talk about access first up. So MFA, so multi-factor authentication. So it's actually more secure than a lot of other stuff out there. It's, if we go back a bit before that, just to set the scene, Microsoft has come from a corporate background.
Yes.
Their bread and butter is business. So where the likes of Zoom and that have probably come from a consumer background and moved into the business space and moved quite heavily into those spaces. Microsoft went the other way. They've come from that Teams, the corporate governance, that security, all that sort of stuff. And they've been forced by the pandemic to become consumer friendly. So the principle there is underlying everything they've done is that business logic, that security, that protection of the data. And this is where the MFA security comes in, the file level security. You can't download a file. It's all auditable and traceable. Using platforms like Teams, you can get usage reports. So we can jump in there and go, well, Roland's not even logging into his account. So you can actually create a level of accountability as well. So it's not just security is my data safe? Are my people doing stuff? You can't go as far as what they're doing unless when you hit record everything, but you can track down that, hey, my people are actually being active and using the technology. And you can't do that if you're using disparate packages.
Well, not to mention that Microsoft do spend millions of dollars on security. Obviously it's a very secure platform, and they do actually spend a lot of money on it. So, and you, I guess, from what you said about Zoom, they did come from a consumer point of view, whereas Microsoft, you're starting from a solid, secure platform, and then, and I guess it's easier for them to just quickly roll out, hey, this is a cool little feature, this is a cool feature here. And I think the one that I really enjoy myself anyway is the hands up one. Sometimes it's very hard to get your voice in there because so many people are talking. So having that rule in there is, if you want to talk next, put your hands up.
It's gone a step further now. If you've got the latest version of Teams, it's not just hands up now. Right. It's all these other men. You can smile and love hearts, all those other bits and pieces.
So it's easy for them to roll that out, and it's on a solid, a secure platform.
Yep. So it's about building that experience and that interaction piece. So it's technology trying to become more social and whatever else. So, and that's all playing into that usability and just being part of how you use it. But, just to keep on that security front, like, it's just a platform that's been built for a reason. And it's just really solid in its base and how it works. You start rolling in, most people, I'm not a Mac user, I'm not going to diss anyone who is. I've got some great mates who love the stuff. Going there.
Again, we're not. We won't go down there. It's a bit of a.
But 90, or I don't know the exact percentage, but most computers are all Windows machines. So there's a level of integration there too. So you can sync your files to your computer. When they're synced to your computer, the same level of file protection and security exists. You can't sort of, like Dropbox, for example, you can set clunky security, but being Microsoft end to end, so from laptop to cloud to wherever it is in the file layout, it's all Microsoft. So it's one platform. So it allows integration. Whereas if you use another system like the Dropbox is one, and once you've synced those files to your computer, they're your files. Whereas if you've synced your OneDrive to your computer and I'd say, sorry, Roland, life's over, and turn it off, it disappears off your machine. I control the data as the owner of that data. So, having people work from home, and let's take the unfortunate scenario, you had to terminate someone while they're at home, or let's use the positive one, they've won lotto and they've run away. You can press the button and delete their data on the spot. You don't say, hey, bring your laptop back, do this, do that.
Yes, that's right.
Still like you to do that, but
again,
your data's safe.
And then touching on the security front still, if the laptop was stolen, or, obviously, you might be at a client side or at a cafe, as an example, you walk away, you forgot that you left your laptop on the, counter. Next minute, it's gone. So you can easily just remote.
I had a scenario where a CEO, MD, left their smartphone on the air train.
Wow. Okay.
So we were lucky, jumped in, remote wipe, blown away. So by the time he landed, straight on the phone, hey, left my phone on the train, blocked it straight away, no response in a period, a couple of days, wiped it.
So. Makes it easy. The other one that I want to talk about is the home network. Obviously, everyone's has modem / router, I guess. In terms of security risks for home network versus work network. Now, obviously, I'm not going to dive into the tech side of things because that's where your expertise is. So, can you just touch on that, like in terms of security wise, and how I guess Microsoft sits in the security realm?
So, because the data is secured at the cloud and the PC level, it kind of takes some of that personal risk out of it.
Yeah.
That being said, there's a level of local security that users need to take very seriously.
Yeah.
So firewalls,
yes,
all those other protections. If you're running a corporate network, products like Meraki or Sophos and those sorts of things, there's some big names there that provide a lot of security and protection. They have the Meraki Z1, for example, the home worker device. So there's those sort of things that it can allow you to take your work environment home. So just use the Meraki Z1 as an example. If you took that device home, that's a simple device. You can plug that into your own internet router. So you can have whatever security you want on your own router, plug this device in.
Right.
It now tunnels your system into the corporate environment. Right. So if you've got platforms that are, so let's go away from 365. If you've got your old school file systems, or maybe you've got an ERP system sitting on a remote desktop server.
Fair enough, yep.
You can use something like the Z1 device to connect your site to go there. Right. Or maybe you've got a mobile office, you've got a bunch of people moving around. You can actually use the same sort of device.
Yeah.
Or go up to an MX if you want, but those sort of devices. And Sophos and whole heap of others out there that do the same thing. And that's hardware. And then obviously you've got the software VPN. So at the Windows level, you can do a VPN tunnel, depending on what technology you got into the work.
Yep.
Once you've connected that VPN tunnel, all the data between your device and your office is encrypted, locked down, and protected. So yes, you still need to secure your network.
Yep.
But as a business, you secure the endpoint. So you have endpoint protection on your laptop.
Yeah.
So that's your antivirus, web root, Windows Defender, whatever it may be. You have your security in 365 and on the cloud and your servers.
Yeah.
Connecting your office and your home that's not on the cloud. So MFA protects the cloud is the VPN tunnel. Yeah. And that VPN tunnel can be directly off your laptop or computer, or it can be through a hardware device like a Z1 or something like that.
Fair enough. So I guess having multi-layer protection is pretty much key to any protection, really. Eh? So you could actually be anywhere.
You've got to cover all bases with security. Let's face it, these guys are pretty much on the edge. And
sorry. Just before I move on to that one, a question I get all the time is, how secure is hotel Wi-Fi? Because obviously everybody's like, free Wi-Fi, What's your recommendation? Now, obviously I've been told don't touch it.
So who do we use it for? Let's face it, it's not safe.
Yeah.
Just put it straight out there, it's not safe. So you've got some sensitive stuff going on your laptop, probably not the safest thing to use.
Yeah.
But having said that, it is connection to the internet. So if you're using it in a way and you're using the secure protocols, so you're using your Microsoft 365 with the MFA enabled. If you need to connect to your own data in the office, you use your security, so you use your VPN tunnels.
Yep.
And then on your local machine, you have the right layer. So you have your firewalls enabled and all those sorts of things. So if you've got all those layers of security, depending what you're using it for, it's okay.
But stay away from banking.
Yeah, just it's common sense stuff. I mean, if you're going to use unsafe or unprotected networks, use as many layers of protection as you can. So that's, like I said, your local security. Make sure that all your stuff, all your normal stuff, use complex passwords. MFA enable everything. Yeah. So if you've got a bank or anyone in the neighborhood that has MFA available, use it.
Yeah, I would recommend it. 100%.
It is the number one defense. So just to quickly get on MFA, just to be slightly off topic, is the strength of MFA in security can't be understated. Yeah. It's one of the first things we do when we onboard a new client is use MFA across your 365 environment. Yeah. If not, why not? Because it's there, it's free, and it takes away the concept of people using passwords and sharing them around. So how many times you've been in an office and someone's got their password on a little sticky note on the monitor, or
100% on their laptops.
Yeah, or just they've got one that's easily guessed or something like that. So hackers out there have got tools beyond what we can think, and they're just sitting there Googling passwords. So if these guys, I mean, you go look at some websites, you can actually see and type in your own email address.
Yeah.
It'll tell you if they've, and it'll actually show you the passwords that have been, so where there have been breaches. So there's been a few breaches, and there's actually websites you can go to and say, is my email address on this list?
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I've got one, I've done it myself.
I haven't done it. So
one of my old passwords, I've gone in there and my old email address and it comes up, and that was my old password. It got hacked out of a website. So Microsoft actually, if you look in, will actually tell you that.
Okay.
So it'll show you, hey, this is at risk because we've looked at this account and we've looked at this password and they exist on one of these databases. So go fix it.
Honestly, I've never tried it. So good point. I might try that tonight.
But the thing is, MFA gets around that.
Okay.
So if someone does get that, it'll still change the password. But if someone gets that without MFA, they can't do anything. They need your phone as well.
I guess it's kind of like a deadlock. You need that, key.
It was explained to me. I've heard MFA explained in a lot of ways, but we're already using MFA with our bank cards and things every day.
Yes,
so
true.
You need your bank card, you need your PIN number.
Yes.
One's useless without the other.
Yes.
That's all MFA is. It's a password and then a token or your phone or your email address, whatever it may be. It's just that second form of authentication.
Yeah.
It's much easier remembering 6 random questions and whatever they do.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I always forget the questions anyway.
I just want the same answer for all of them. So
do you? So. Blue. Okay, so time management. Look, that's another one that I wanted to talk about, but I guess we kind of briefly touched on it, during the intro. Time management / lifestyle choices. Obviously, being able to work remotely and all that. You, like you said, you get to spend more time with your daughter, able to take her to school, and also still be able to attend that meeting.
Yep. I'll be honest, I've taken a teams meeting while sitting in the school pickup line.
There we go. I remember that. Yes, that's right.
But this is the flexibility of the technology, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's allowed a degree of flexibility in the business, in the workplace. Yeah. And if someone has more work-life balance, you're going to get more out of your employees.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, you've got to have your boundaries. It's not an open slather, and certain you'll learn who you can and can't trust. But for those who appreciate it, you'll get increased productivity. Whether it's through, hey, I've saved myself 3 hours not commuting to and from work. Yeah. I'm going to throw an extra hour in the kitty. I'm going to do a bit more work because I've got it up my sleeve. Yeah. Through to that, just people feeling better and not burning out. So they've got that flexible time. They're actually, so rather than, let's take the engineer has to work back late, rather than, them staying in the office till 9, 10 o'clock at night, having to do a whole heap of stuff after hours, send them home to lunchtime, let them hang out with the family, and then jump online remotely and do everything they need to do.
And you can still get that, family dinner.
That's it.
I think you told me one time where you used to drive home, and by the time you get home, you've already missed the dinner. Whereas, now you can actually drive home, do what you need to do, have the dinner, and then have the meeting.
Well, that's right.
Or vice versa, the other way around.
Before we really got heavily into teams, and it's not so much us. We've used it a lot internally anyway, but more with external clients. It wasn't as big a thing. It was much harder to use. So it was always phone conference, all those sorts of things, and you had to sort of be in the same room at the same time and that sort of stuff. So that was often the case, that you'd have a 5, 6 o'clock meeting, you'd hang in the office and end up going on and go over, and then you've got that extra hour to drive home or whatever it might be, and you end up missing out on that family time. And, but being able to leave early, do that stuff at home, and then already be there ready to go, made a big difference.
Absolutely. Well, obviously I don't have kids, but not yet. My partner and I were debating.
Topic.
Yeah, it is a different topic. But one thing I've definitely noticed is that I can actually have lunch now with Jess. She obviously works from home as well, but she has crazier times than I do. But because I'm so flexible, I can say, hey, when are you having lunch? And she's like, I'm having it at 1 o'clock. Great. I'll have lunch with you, at 1. Or some days she'll say, I have lunch at around, say, 12. Or 2, whatever. But it's easier for me to just go, let's just lock it in, So I feel like I can have that lunch break, whereas I guess working from the office, I can't have that, So because of that, I kind of like it. I really do. I find that to be, it's good. like it's for me, it's like debriefing, having a chat, sharing. Okay, these are the what I had, just the usual stuff you have with your partner, I guess.
So that's a good example. But also the other example I've got is actually in the office. So I'm in the office, and particular days I've got a standing meeting around lunchtime every Wednesday. So I'll either grab my lunch or go and grab lunch and just sit in the car and take that call in the car or out of the office, away from everyone else. And no one really knows, as long as I'm parked up and stopped and people aren't carrying on. But I can just sit there, my own time, eat my lunch quietly, and it gets away from your desk. And I've also done that in transit somewhere else. I've gone and got out of the car, can't tell you how many meetings I was sitting in the car out in front of the office. I've just got there, especially the morning ones.
Yep.
I get those early calls from, hey, this is going on, that's going on. And I take the call in the car, and I'm still sitting in the car an hour later, still talking on that same Teams call. So
it's back to back sometimes, isn't it?
But it's also the other cool thing with the Teams thing in particular is the ability to transfer calls. And when I say transfer calls, so not transferring from me to you, but from device to device. Yeah. So I've done that. Started a call on my laptop at work. Yeah. It's gone over for whatever reason. Something really exciting started happening at work. We've had to go on to this next thing. How do we work through that? Previously, I'd have to either sit there on that call until it's finished, or I'd have to leave the call. Now you open up your mobile app, you go join meeting already in progress. Do you want to transfer it? Yep. Transfer it to my phone. Yeah. Keep going. Yeah. Drive home. Get home if it's still going on. Yeah. Same thing. Walk into the home PC, log into that one. Yeah. Transfer back to the PC, and the call transfers back to PC.
So people the other end have no idea. Yeah, that's true, isn't it?
So I think that's that flexibility side you talked about before. So you're not going, I wish this call would end.
Yeah. Or the fact that like if the meeting does go over, you're not stuck in the office. You can actually still transit to the next location and be at the next meeting.
Especially if it's and this happens a lot, these larger team meetings. So your bit might be 5-10 minutes in that meeting, and yes, you're listening, you're part of the meeting, but you may not have much more to contribute for that part. Yeah. Do you need to sit in the office for the next hour and a half?
That's true. That's very true.
So that's where you can jump in the car, you can keep listening, you can be involved if you need to, transit. It just allows so much more flexibility. And this is just making the most of the technology that's already there. Yeah. But to be honest, most people didn't even know it was there until the pandemic started.
That's true. And majority of them don't even know that as part of the package. Yep. So if you got Office 365, chances are you're probably not utilizing it to its full potential. Look, we need to wrap things up quickly. Hobbies. Would you say you've taken up more hobbies because your time's more free, or?
So, start of the pandemic, I definitely did. Yeah. When we were allowed the limit, we weren't in the lockdown like they were down in Melbourne and places like that, but went and bought myself a bike. And
that's right. Yeah, you were saying.
So we used to get out. My daughter and I used to go out for a ride around the Botanical Gardens. Yeah. And I just booked that in as an hour in the day, and it was a really flexible part of how things work.
Get some vitamin D while you're at it.
Yep. It's the ability to take a Teams call on one screen and have the rugby sitting on the other screen. It all works. Good to have the mute button in play.
Yeah, but exactly. Well, for me, I think I'm a gym junkie, so. If I miss my, early morning training, I can actually not have lunch with Jess and just hit the gym. So, for me, taking hobby, I guess, not really extra hobbies. It just makes my gymming session a lot easier and more flexible. Saving money. Now that's, for me, it's a big thing. Obviously, not having to drive into work has saved a lot of money in terms of petrol-wise. But what about yourself? Have you seen any money savings on that front?
At a personal level, I wouldn't say a huge amount, just because my commute's pretty short. Yeah. But professionally, a lot. All right. And this is where businesses have always talked about going way back to the days of ISDN video conferencing that, you're saving hundreds of millions of dollars in your travel budget. Never materialized. Yeah. But what's happened is Teams and other platforms have become so immersive that you're not missing as much. So before, to do a video conference or a phone call, you can do it remote. Yeah, you could, but you missed out on so much. Yes. You can't beat being in the same room. No one's going to lie about that. Yeah. But there's so much more you can do remotely. And, we've got clients from all the way through to WA and overseas. And I haven't been to Perth now for a year, I think it's been, where I was there every 6 or 8 weeks previously. I'm still having the same number of conversations, if not more, with the team over there, and probably just as interactive.
Yeah.
Because we're using the technology. So has travel gone? No, I've travelled down here to Brisbane. I still do this every 4 to 6 weeks, whatever it might be. But whenever there was a meeting before, I had to come down because that's what the client expected. It wasn't just us. The client expected it. So internally we go, look, we can just do this. But the clients are now so comfortable being on a Teams call. I mean, I've got clients local to me, like, 3Ks around the corner, and they're like, "Oh, jump on a Teams call." Like, yeah, fine, I can do that.
Don't you love it when they say, "Hey, can we just do it on Teams?" And the fact that they've really just embraced that technology. I love it when they do that too.
So just on that travel front, it's not new, but it's being done. Yeah, and it is saving businesses money.
Yes,
travel has increased. I've been through the airports. There's more people there. There's more planes, and that's good. I like to see that bouncing back, but. Corporately, there doesn't need to be as much travel, and people are so much more comfortable.
Yeah. So I guess from my perspective, throwing it out there as a, hey, would you like to do it over Teams? Most time they'll say yes, actually. So you don't necessarily have to travel there, And if it goes well, I guess you can always, take them out and say, hey, let's catch up for coffee. So it's just one of those things that I do. So it works for me.
Yeah. So and that's a good point we just raised. And there's that balance. Yeah. Let's not become tech people who just live on Teams.
Yes, that's right. You don't want to.
We need to find that balance. So, Teams is a massive tool, and it's a very important tool, and I think it's added a lot of value, and it's improved social connection. But just as a social warning, let's keep it balanced. Yeah, and still keep that social, physical. Otherwise, can't.
I guess, like you said, not all problems can be solved with technologies. Everything still needs that face-to-face. Yep. And honestly, sometimes people do need it. I guess, it's just human nature to be interacting. All right. So what I want to do, I guess, is just come to a conclusion and try and wrap it up. Just key things that we did pick up on is the leveraging of technology. And what we've seen in the that dynamic, that shift in the market where everyone's feeling really comfortable. It's not just businesses that are taking advantage of it, but everyday people. You can have those Teams calls with your parents, your grandparents, and all that. Location is no longer an issue. You can work from anywhere, and I guess security. Obviously, if you're working on a solid platform, security is still important. You should still think about it, but it's not a major issue. Would you say that, or?
Yeah, no, it's protected. It's addressed. So it's still an issue, but it's been addressed. Yeah. For me, I could summarize most of it up into two sort of very clear statements. So one is that we've learnt to work from home, and we've learnt to trust people to work from home. So we've learned how to use the technology at home. Yeah. On the other side of the coin, the technology has come leaps and bounds to allow us to work from home. Yeah. So you go back to day one of the pandemic, Teams had 4 screens. It was pretty bland. And
I remember that.
And now it's got hands up and flags and gallery view and all these other things going on. So we've learned to use it, and the technology has come along with us and moved ahead. So this is where I'm looking to the future is we're starting to use it as people in the workplace and at home life, like you said before. Yeah. But the technology has now got so much effort behind it, like, Microsoft in particular, but all the major providers are throwing so much effort behind this technology that it's really, where does it go from here? Yeah. No, fair enough. I think that's pretty much it, really. There's, we did cover quite a bit. We're not going to dive into too much details, but it's just more of a good, general chat for our first podcast. Is there anything else that you want to add before, I guess, we wrap it up? No, I think that pretty well summed it up. I think, Teams and remote working is here to stay. Yeah. It's just finding how it works in your place and how you can balance it.
Exactly. Balance. I think balance is probably the key, and flexibility is definitely the key.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, I appreciate you flying in from Mackay. I'll probably
use Teams, but anyway.
Well, we want to make it so it's a little bit more personable. But yeah, look, thank you so much for coming in, and I'm sure we'll be doing more for the future. So
thanks, Roll. Enjoyed it.
Great.
Thank you.